Folks, it's me, Denny Carter. Welcome to the Week 12 Waiver Wire Q&A with me. You can find my Waiver Wire column as per usual on NBC Sports Edge.com, powered by Rotoworld. Appreciate you joining me once again here. Feel free to ask your questions about waiver wire priorities. It's not the most exciting week on the waiver wire, but we're still going to have a good time. Many are saying a fun time on this stream, as we usually do, where I go on 15-minute tangents that draw the ire of YouTube commenters, but I will not be silenced. No, I will not. Obviously, Latavius Murray is going to be the top priority for most teams, unless you're just absolutely loaded at running back, which that must be nice. I would like to try that one year, to have a team with good running backs, with more than one startable running back. That sounds like a plan to me. I should look further into that. Can someone teach me how to do that? I know I'm the analyst here, but if you have any suggestions, you can DM me on Twitter. Anyway, unless you're loaded at running back, you're trying to get Latavius Murray, because here's the thing. Melvin Gordon waived by the team. The worst marriage in sports is over. Thank goodness for both sides. And thank goodness for Melvin Gordon. By the way, if you have Melvin Gordon on your team, you're not dropping him. He could land in a more fantasy-friendly situation than he had in Denver pretty easily. So just hang tight. So you're picking up Murray for a few reasons. Not because he's doing well. Actually, if you look at the metrics, God, I keep going on tangents, sorry, but I had too much hustle juice this morning, aka coffee. We call it hustle juice in this house. If you look at Murray and Gordon, they've been two of the least efficient running backs in the NFL this season, along with guys like Najee Harris and Chase Edmonds, who is also on the Broncos and who is injured. Chase Edmonds is going to be out for multiple weeks per reports. I think Adam Schefter actually said that too. You have Marlon Mack, who amazingly has played for all 32 teams this season. He apparently plays for the Broncos now. So he would be the main, I guess, carry and target competition for Latavius Murray as of this moment. And personally, I feel pretty good about that for our guy Latavius, who, again, has not been good, but it doesn't matter if a guy's going to see 20 touches in a game. Latavius was splitting goal line duties with Melvin Gordon. Now he gets that all to himself. Melvin Gordon was seeing most of the routes and targets. I guess Latavius gets that too. Maybe that's a little bit of a leap, but at least he'll get some of it. And that's all you need, really. So you get a lot of high value touches. Okay. With running backs, we're looking for, high value touches. That includes touches inside the 10-yard line, which Latavius should get plenty of with Melvin Gordon gone, and targets and receptions, obviously. So we are going to see more of that for Latavius. So you should try to get him for the stretch run. Chase Edmonds being out is big. I know this sounds funny, but if Edmonds were healthy, I would not be as bullish on Latavius as I am. All right, let's check out your comments here. Thanks for joining me. You can find my column on NBCSportsEdge.com. Patrick says, "Hey, Denny." Hello, Patrick. Let's see. Oh, man. JD says, "I won because of Rondale Moore pain on my opponent." Oh, that's tough. I mean, it's good for you. Tough for your opponent. Let me tell you a little story about a fantasy analyst who made many DFS DraftKings lineups with Rondale Moore in the captain spot. Now, for you non-sickos who don't play one-game fantasy football slates, that means that I put Rondale Moore in the part of the lineup where he gets 1.5 times his fantasy production for the game, right? And here's why. I had a process, okay? I always have a process. The Niners have been one of the league's worst teams against opposing slot receivers. Rondale Moore has run 80 to 90% of his routes from the slot since DeAndre Hopkins returned. So he was in for a big day, folks. Mr. Rondale, let's go. Check the box score, and here's what happened. Rondale Moore got hurt on the first play from scrimmage. He lost 6 yards. Greg Dortch, our guy, Dortch Sisson is back, stepped in, caught 9 of 10 targets for 103 yards. I personally, I'm tilting. That hurt. That hurt a lot. I mean, we probably missed out on a 150-yard outing for Rondale Moore on, I don't know, 10 to 12 catches. Okay, I will one day get over that, but not yet. Not yet. All right, let's get to your questions. Help, please. PPR start 2 if Jamar Chase sits. I don't think Chase is coming back this week, guys. So let's assume he sits. So we have Campbell, Montgomery, Pierce, Christian Watson at the Eagles. Well, you're starting Montgomery because Khalil Herbert's still out. So go ahead and start David Montgomery. And then I go with, I mean, it depends on what kind of life you want to live. Okay, really. Paris Campbell is the pretty safe PPR life where you're going to get 4 to 6 catches, as the underneath option in the Colts offense. And Christian Watson is going to see, 3, 4, 5 catches. One of them could be an 80-yard bomb for a touchdown. So kind of depends there. I would lean Watson. That's just the way I play. I live on the edge, folks. Ask anyone who knows me. I don't. Actually, I'm very, very personally conservative person. All right. Darius Slayton, Mooney, or Mostert in the flex. Well, the Dolphins are playing the Texans, and the Texans have the worst rush defense by almost every metric known to humankind. So I would lean Mostert here. I think Mostert and Jeff Wilson are interesting here. By the way, the Dolphins were not the super pass heavy team, obviously, which has been great for fantasy, but they actually tamped that down a little bit. In their most recent game, they had a big lead against Cleveland, and they were only like 3% over their expected pass rate, which is, which may point to them operating in a similar fashion against Houston. So I would go with Mostert. All right. We have Chad. Is Samaje Perine a bigger ad than Latavius in the short term because of having the upside? No. It's a good question. For those of you who may not know, Joe Mixon suffered a concussion in week 11. He's in the NFL's concussion protocol. We don't know. Obviously, it's Tuesday. We don't know anything about what his practice schedule is going to look like. I would guess that he's not going to practice until late in the week. That's usually how it goes with the protocol. If he doesn't get in at least a limited session on Friday, you can assume he's going to be out, and you can assume Samaje Perine is going to take his place as the lead back for Cincinnati in week 12 against the Titans. He's a good ad. I have him in my column, obviously. I think I ranked him 4th or 5th among waiver wire priorities for this week. But I like Latavius both now and going forward. Perine has a lot of PPR appeal as well. 8-team league. You know what? We take all questions here. 8 teams, 10, 12, 14, 32 team leagues. Leagues where people get on me about talking about a guy who's 30% roster. Well, I had to draft that guy in the 4th round. Well, I mean, not everyone plays in a 16, 18 team league. Anyway, 8 teams with Jonathan Taylor, Dameon Pierce, Montgomery, and Mostert at RB. Okay, Patrick, did you have a follow-up to that? Oh man, Patrick. Do Do I drop Michael Carter? Oh, there we go. Yeah, drop Michael Carter. You're literally never going to use him in that situation. All right, start Geno at the Raiders or Fields at the Jets. That's really tough, man. That's tough. That's a good question. I'm glad you have forced me to grapple already with start sits, because it gets me in fighting shape for later in the week. Okay, and by fighting shape, I mean mentally. I would never fight, except for online. Geno against the Raiders is tremendous. I actually, in my column, I opened the column with looking at pass rate over expected data from the past 4 weeks. So I narrowed it down to the past month to get what I think is a better feel for how teams are operating on offense. And the Seahawks have been pass heavy throughout 2022, but they've gone even more pass heavy over the past month. And now they're like bordering on Kansas City territory in that regard against a Raiders secondary that is the worst, most exploitable secondary in the entire league. I would have a hard time benching him, but Justin Fields, his designed runs are such that it becomes impossible to bench him. So if he plays, okay, Matt Eberflus apparently said, well, we can tell you that Justin might be able to go this week, and he might be out for the season, folks. Who knows? Who really knows? I'm not a doctor. Thanks, Matt, for that, by the way. That definitely is informative and helpful to everybody, to fans, to fantasy managers, to everyone. I still would go Fields. The rushing upside is just too much to turn down. It breaks fantasy. You know, the quarterbacks who can rush for 100 yards and a touchdown pretty easily, which Fields can do, as we've seen many times now. That breaks it. That breaks the model. Like the game like can't adjust to that sort of production from a quarterback. So I would go Fields, but this is not to say that you're looking for a reason to bench Geno. Like Geno, if I did rankings, which I don't like rankings. Don't like doing the rankings. Top 5 option this week. Top 7 conservatively. Should I drop Tony? Yeah. Drop Kadarius Toney, hamstring injury. Pick up Treylon Burks. I wrote up Treylon Burks on my waiver column. His usage, kind of the trends of the Titans offense, trying to weed out the anomaly of Malik Willis starting for 2 weeks and sort of really throwing off the higher level numbers of the Titans offense. Do I drop Sutton for Burks? That's tough. I don't think so. Although I'm just so tired. I in one league I have to start Sutton in every week, and I'm just exhausted by it. I traded Pitts when Waller went down. So I'm down bad at tight end. I have Taysom. Would you roll with him or Pitt? So we have a report on NBCSportsEdge.com today from Nick Underhill. He's a longtime Saints beat writer who said that the team, the Saints, they feel that Taysom Hill is being underutilized in their offense. It's a real thing he said. The reaction to that on Twitter was mostly, what? Underutilized or overutilized? Are we mixing up those two words, over and under? And I sort of agree. But, Taysom Hill was once again very much involved in the offense. He was rotating snaps at one point in the first quarter with Andy Dalton. He ended up with 9 rushing attempts. He threw 3 passes, completed 1. Underhill suggested that Taysom Hill would only be used in this way when the Saints can play even or from ahead, of their opponents. If they're chasing points like they usually do, they're probably not going to roll out the whole Taysom package. So he's a very, I would call him a thin, volatile fantasy option going forward. Noah Fant, I think would be better there. That's about it from the guys you mentioned. Let's see. PPR start 1, Aaron Jones or Jeff Wilson. Oh man, that's a good one. But I am starting Aaron Jones there. I mean, the Eagles are a massive run funnel defense at this point, meaning that teams really lean toward the run against Philadelphia. That's 2 reasons. 1, their rush defense is not good, and 2, their secondary is good. So I could see Aaron Jones. I mean, if unless the Packers just get completely blown out, I don't see that happening. But then again, I didn't see that happening to the Cardinals either on Monday night. Aaron Jones, 20 touch game coming up there. So Jeff Wilson's also a great option. Yes, Juwan Johnson. Let's see. I mentioned Johnson, top 10 in tight end pass routes over the past 2 months. He scored his first non-garbage time touchdown this past week against the Rams, which was nice to see. And apparently, per Saints beat writers, he's running many of the routes that Michael Thomas had run in this New Orleans offense over the years. He said it like it's not like an assumption or some sort of guess by the beat writers. Like Juwan Johnson said, like they gave me Michael Thomas's routes. Seems significant to me. So he's out there a lot. The Saints should be chasing points more often than not. So I don't think you have to completely bank on garbage time for Juwan Johnson to get there. But if you have him, I think you just keep rolling with him. I think he's a good option. Should I trade Dameon Pierce for Miles Sanders? No, I don't think so. Maybe. Yes, you should. All right. But I don't know whose trade deadline hasn't come and gone yet. Start 2. Evans obviously, and then Watson. Yeah, right. And thank you for mentioning this. Justin Fields is banged up, and he did hurt his hamstring, hurt his shoulder. So we'll have to see about his health. If there are reports that he's going to be limited, on the ground, then you should consider, like the viewer who asked Geno or Fields, then I would lean toward Geno Smith. Who would I rather have for the rest of the season in the playoffs? Latavius Murray or it's Latavius, folks. It's Latavius. Look, the Baltimore backfield is terrible for fantasy purposes. Really horrible. I mean, it doesn't matter really what happens. I know Kenyon Drake saw 24 touches in week 9, was it, against the Saints? That was cool. That worked out for those who started him, who were brave enough to start him. But Justice Hill really, really ate into Kenyon Drake's workload this past week against the Panthers. I think it was because Drake was struggling. Like, Drake was not good in that game against the Panthers. Also, the Panthers are kind of good against the run. I don't know if that's an excuse or not. But if Gus Edwards re-enters the fold here in the Baltimore backfield, it's kind of, who cares? They're not. They clearly are not going to be like, oh, okay, well, Gus is back. He's the lead back. His absolute maximum upside is like 10 carries. Maybe he trips over himself into the end zone from the goal line. That one time, and that's fine, but not really. So Latavius by a long shot. I think I missed some questions here, so I'm gonna scroll back. Drop Fields and pick up Watson. No, unless Fields is like really hurt, and maybe we'll know that by the end of Tuesday or early on Wednesday. I'm sorry, I don't do dynasty questions. Jeremiah, who would you rather have rest of the season? Oh, okay. Wow, I just did that. All right, we're gonna go. Please help. Start at running back 2, Jamal Williams. Oh, Vinny. Oh, there we go. Jamal Williams or Mostert. I know Jamal Williams is coming off a 3-touchdown game, okay? And the folks love touchdowns, folks. They love them. Give me touchdowns. For some reason, everybody loves touchdowns. My dad, I was watching the games with the early games with him the other day, and Jamal Williams scores his second touchdown, and my dad turns to me and he goes, do you have him in your lineups this week? Talking about my daily fantasy lineups. And I said no. And he said, why not? I said, I don't know. I didn't even consider Jamal Williams in my lineups. He goes, every time I see this guy, he's scoring a touchdown. And it's true. He leads the NFL. Jamal Williams leads the league in touchdowns. All he does is score touchdowns. The whole Lions offense is predicated on getting him the ball at the goal line. And my dad, well, why not? Why don't you play him? And I had no answer. I had no answer. Well, because touchdowns are volatile, Dad. You don't understand. You can't predict touchdowns. Yes, this same guy keeps scoring touchdowns every single week, and I never have him in a lineup. But you can't predict them. They're unpredictable. It's something that the boomer brain can't understand. And my dad said, I'd play the guy who's scoring touchdowns. I've never been more owned in my life. You're starting Raheem Mostert. Start Miles Sanders or Raheem. Well, Sanders. Burks or Demarcus Robinson on waivers. Yeah. Demarcus Robinson. Mention him in my column, which you can find on NBCSportsEdge.com. I'm going to take this chance to reset and say welcome to the Week 12 NBC Sports Edge, powered by Rotoworld waiver wire Q&A, where I answer your questions about everything and anything related to fantasy football. You can find my piece on the website. Demarcus Robinson, his Week 11 game against Carolina did not come out of nowhere, okay? He had a 19% target share, a 21% target share, and then the 28% target share against Carolina. So things had been trending in Demarcus Robinson's direction as the number one receiver in the Baltimore offense, with Rashad Bateman out with a foot injury. And obviously Bateman done for the year with that foot injury. Teams are focused, completely focused on taking away Mark Andrews in the middle of the field, because that's how the Ravens get you. Like, that's how the Ravens passing attack works the best, is to just force feed Mark Andrews in the middle of the field. They've done it for the better part of 2 years, 3 years, whatever. Teams are trying to take that away. That will put Demarcus Robinson in favorable situations going forward. And Lamar Jackson has made some noise recently about, saying straight up, I need to get the ball to Demarcus more. Now, we know what Demarcus Robinson is, okay? He played with Patrick Mahomes for years, never did anything for fantasy except for, he'd occasionally pop up for like a 10-target game, just incredibly tilting, but it happened. So we know what he is. He's not a ceiling option, but, PPR formats, you could do way, way worse. If you have to start 3 or 4 receivers, if you have multiple flex spots and you're struggling to fill them in, I think you're happy to have, not sad, but happy to have Demarcus Robinson plug him into a flex spot going forward. All right. Pick up Juwan Johnson. Man, you have a lot of tight ends. You have Dulcich, Njoku, and Juwan, and you Eddie. You're starting Njoku. Njoku was eased back into the lineup. Of course, it would have been nice to know that beforehand, but he only had a 50% route participation rate this past week against Buffalo. Harrison Bryant actually ran more routes and saw more targets and caught more passes. Really frustrating. But Njoku, I think, should be, eased back in to a full complement of snaps and routes. Before his ankle injury, he was bordering on elite tight end territory. If you look at like targets per route run, yards per route run, his place, his pecking order in the Cleveland offense, he should be a very solid fantasy option going forward. I like him over these other options. And also, Deshaun Watson coming back to playing for the Browns eventually. Week 13, week 13 should boost Njoku and the rest of these Cleveland pass catchers. Brian Carter, my cousin, Brian Carter. Kidding. But maybe. Who knows, Brian? Maybe. Carter, such an uncommon name. in the world. Stuck on Christian Watson or Devontae Smith this week. That's a good one. I mean, Christian Watson still has tremendous upside week in and week out. I think the Packers will deploy a very run-heavy, conservative game plan against the Eagles. Watson has been able to get there for fantasy purposes 2 weeks in a row, 5 touchdowns over 2 weeks, as you know, because of the touchdowns. Like, he's not like coming away with, 12, 14 targets or something and happening to come down with 2 touchdowns. Like, it's a little bit thinner than we'd like. We don't love the way Christian Watson is scoring points. Dallas Goedert being out for the Eagles is big for both AJ Brown and Devontae Smith. Let me check on something with Devontae. Yeah. So last week against the Colts, Devontae Smith saw 9 targets, caught 6 for 78. That's the most targets Devontae Smith has had since week 4. So that's I think that's significant. Excuse me. I have something stuck in my throat here. I like Smith there by a little bit. Not sure what's going on, folks. Tim says outlook for Rachaad White worth starting over guys like Sutton, Ayuk, Mostert. No. So yeah, I mean, Rachaad White, he started the last game for Tampa. He had a nice game, mostly because Leonard Fournette missed some of the second half with an injury. Apparently, the Bucs are coming off a bye. Fournette is not expected to miss time. I keep landing on Mostert when you guys are asking me these questions, but yeah, I mean, Mostert against Houston whoo boy, that is tasty. The Zoomers are saying tasty. I don't know why, but I'll go with it. I'm fine with that. I get it. Let me check something for you real quick. Come on, data. Pull up data. All right. So, hey, look at this. The Texans allow the 5th highest rushing EPA, expected points added, this season. Only the Packers, Eagles, Chargers, Lions, and Browns allow a higher expected points added per rush. Man, yeah. Actually, the Eagles and Packers are both miserable against the run. I mean, I guess I knew that, but not quite the extent of it. It should set up well for both Miles Sanders and obviously Aaron Jones. All right. Since I don't do Dynasty, let me ask you, Critical, where do you think Pickens falls rest of season? So Pickens was real close to a monster outing against the Bengals. I'm not sure if folks saw it, but George Pickens dropped what would have been a 49-yard touchdown. I mean, it was a little bit of a difficult catch, but it would have added to his day of 83 yards and another touchdown. So he almost got that first real ceiling game for the dog, George Pickens. He's close. I think he's close to busting out. He's still seeing a lot of downfield stuff and not so much, barely any intermediate stuff. And so we're not going to have those targets to kind of smooth over the weeks where he doesn't hit from Kenny Pickett on the 40, 50, 60 yard completion, whether it's a touchdown or not, so it's going to be up and down. I would say he's definitely wide receiver 3 going forward. So, I hope that answers your question. Yeah. Oh man, this is a good one. Have my dad make a lineup for me. I should do that. One time I had my son make a lineup, an NBA lineup, and it did well. I don't know what that means for me. It did better than mine. The process, right? Am I right, folks? The process. All right. Jason says, I'm in a super flex league and you can only roster 2. What? No, stop. I don't like that rule at all. You can only roster 2 quarterbacks. The whole point is that it makes quarterbacks a desired commodity. You stash them and you wait for good matchups. You rotate quarterbacks. What is that? you listen, Jason, you have to talk to the commissioner. And if you're the commissioner, you need to talk to yourself. You need to have some internal dialogue and say, we have to let people in this league roster at least 3 quarterbacks, if not 4. That's the whole point, man. All right. I have Tua and Kyler. With Kyler's injury, should I drop him for Deshaun? I feel like I'll get 5 games. Yeah. I mean, it doesn't seem like Kyler is going to be. I mean, he has the bye week. Maybe he comes back after that. Maybe. I guess I would be okay with that. Yeah. But man, no. Bad fantasy managers. You stop it. You allow people to roster more quarterbacks. The whole appeal of Superflex. Start Watson or Juwan. Are you talking? Okay, you're talking about Christian Watson? Yeah, I mean, yeah, you're starting Christian Watson. Island Boy Gamers. Hi, Denny. Hello, Island Boy Gamers. Should I bench Komet for Njoku? Yeah, I mean, the Bears are still not throwing it a lot, so I do think Komet is kind of getting away with it, and as the meme says, he can't keep getting away with this. Yeah, I mean, look at Komet's targets. Forget about target share. I know it's a good target share, but when you're talking about a team that has the lowest pass rate over expected in the entire league, you want to look more at like raw targets, right? So here are his Komet's recent targets: 2 in week 8, 6 in week 9, 7 in week 10. Those are fine, but then 4 in week 11. He caught 3 for 35 yards, including like a miraculous one-handed stab. He's getting away with it. I'm tired of it. I'm sick of Cole Kmet getting away with it. You're starting Njoku. Have a trade question. Would you trade away Jamal Williams and Fournette for? Yes, I would. Island Boy Gamers, you would do that. You should do that in a hurry, immediately. I mean, don't log off this stream, but immediately go acquire Derrick Henry for those 2 players. Thank you, and you're welcome. Lindorphins. Last wide receiver spot. Would you hang on to Beckham or put in claims? I don't get the OBJ stuff, guys. I don't get it. Like, all right, the Cowboys are interested. They're playing footsie with OBJ. Oh, he looked great in a star helmet and all. Yeah, well, I mean, whatever. Look. Here's the absolute best case scenario for OBJ is, he's ready in a couple weeks. He gets signed by Dallas. They ease him into the offense, and you get to start him in fantasy championship week 17, maybe week 16. So, okay, semifinal week, you get to slide in OBJ into your lineup, and you hope that he's instantly the Cowboys wide receiver 2 behind CeeDee Lamb. Michael Gallup's not going anywhere. Dalton Schultz is not going anywhere. Tony Pollard, again, not going anywhere. I mean, and this is in an offense, in a Dallas offense that really, really does not have much interest in throwing the ball. So where does OBJ's appeal lie? I don't see it at all. He's rostered in like 30% of leagues. I think that number should be like 2%, like 1%. If you're like in a super deep league, that's it. Anyway. I'd rather have Burks or Slayton. That's what I'm saying. Lou, hi Lou. I hope you're well. I am well, thank you. Thoughts on this trade? It's a PPR. I'm sorry, there's a noise above me. I think my son is bouncing a ball for some reason in the house. Trying to get ahead of Saquon regression. Saquon and Higgins for Taylor, Mark Andrews. I'd rather have Saquon. I would. I know the idea of regression is kind of a little bit makes you a little bit queasy this time of year. Well, there goes the noises again. It's a half day, you see. It's a half day before Thanksgiving, so the kids are in the house. I'm usually doing this by myself in the house, so they're here. And boy, the one thing the kids do, let me tell you, folks, Kids make noise. They make noise constantly. So I'm going to have to deal with that. I'm sorry if you hear that. But yeah, I'd want Saquon. I wrote in the waiver piece today about the Giants being basically as run heavy and run first as the Falcons. And we make jokes about the Falcons. Oh, Arthur Smith's running an offense from 1972. And it doesn't matter what the game script is. They're just going to establish the run. The Giants are doing the same thing. Like even against the Lions, they got down and they didn't pass the ball. So yeah, Saquon should be fine. I'd rather have Higgins and Saquon going forward. Patrick says, as you mentioned earlier, Philadelphia pass defense is good. It is. Start Lazard or Watson. Let's not do the cornerback versus receiver matchup because the NFL has changed in that regard, where you have very few games in which a receiver is going to see coverage exclusively from one cornerback. Okay. Very few. This is not, these are not the old days with like, Megatron Calvin Johnson being covered by the top corner on every single snap. That just doesn't happen, especially when you're talking about a guy like Lazard or Watson. So again, it depends on what you want or what you need in your fantasy lineup. I think Allen Lazard represents a much safer fantasy floor with a little bit of touchdown appeal. Okay. Watson represents an opportunity to blow the roof off. Okay. With only, 2 or 3 catches really, because of his average depth of target, because of his ability to separate downfield, which we've seen now many times, including his drops. I mean, like I said last week, like getting open and dropping a deep pass, that's a skill. And not a lot of receivers have that skill. But Christian Watson does. Allen Lazard does not have that skill. So it depends on what you want. I lean Christian Watson. Bench both of them for Josh Palmer. If Mike Williams is out, that's tough. I might lean Palmer if Williams is out, maybe. That's tough. But if I had to choose right now, I'd go Watson. But it's Tuesday, man. It's Tuesday. Give me a break. Drop Everett. Yeah, sure. You can do that. Yeah, man. Look, I have my NBC Sports Edge mug. Hustle Juice is activating my insides. Is it going to give me heartburn later? Probably. Is it already kind of? Yes, it is. Oh, well. Nevertheless, we persist. Jerry says was offered Jonathan Taylor and Kelsey for CMC and Andrews. Oh, that's a wild trade. Wow. Kelsey is like 6 or 7 PPR points per game better than anybody else in any other tight end in the game. I would do this trade. Wow. Yeah, I would do it. Yeah, there we go. Yeah. My guy Patrick is on it. Does Dobbs concern you because of siphoning some targets? Dobbs is not playing this week, folks. So that's there you go. Which Jets QB would you pick up this week? Yeah, right. So Flacco would seem to be the guy since he started the first 3 games of the season. I will say that 2 weeks ago, maybe 3 weeks ago, the Jets very quietly bumped Mike White to QB2 on the depth chart. Okay. And the reason I know is because I blurbed about it on NBCSportsEdge.com, your favorite source and best source for NFL news. So right now, I would have to say Mike White will start if Zach Wilson does not. Joe Flacco is the QB3 on the depth chart. It doesn't mean that the team can't start Flacco, but I think the odds are Flacco will serve as backup to Mike White. Lane says, would you go with Burks or Jameson Williams? I'd go with Burks. I talked about I did the Monday podcast with Patrick Doherty, RotoPat on Twitter. We talked a lot about Jameson Williams and his prospects. It's a similar thing with Odell Beckham, right? Like the best case scenario is still not that good. Okay, like Jameson Williams is practicing this week. I guess he'll play in maybe week 13, 14. They'll ease him into the lineup. DJ Chark is back. And I know that sounds fun. DJ Chark. That's a good one, Denny. DJ Chark. Like, he's a real guy. He is. And he runs those downfield routes. You have that. You have major, massive target competition from target hog Amon-Ra St. Brown. You have a quarterback in Jared Goff who does not throw downfield and is not good at it, no matter what Rams fans say. Rams fans still, for some reason, defend Jared Goff. I don't get it. It's curious, I will say. Move on. Although now you stink again. So what can you do? So Burks is my preferred option. I'm hoping, I really am hoping that Burks can emerge as the wide receiver one, because really what you need in that Tennessee offense, you need a big target share in order to put up wide receiver 2 or 3 numbers. It's the only reason that AJ Brown was able to be fantasy viable and elite, really, at times in that Titans offense, because he was getting 28, 30, 35% sometimes of the targets, which, would come out to 8 to 10 targets, because the team is so run heavy with Derrick Henry. So that's what Burks would need. I think he has a chance to do that. This is a good question, Michael. Jeff Wilson or Devontae Smith. I talked about Devontae Smith in the post Goddard role. I mean, Goddard, he's still with us, on the earthly plane, but he's out. He's out of the lineup. So I actually would go with Smith. I think Smith and AJ Brown see a lot of targets going forward. Worth burning my number 3 waiver on Perine. It's really hard to speak authoritatively. Well, it's hard for me to ever speak authoritatively on anything, because no one knows anything. But on a Tuesday, we're Tuesday afternoon. Like, man, this is tough to say, oh, definitely get Perine. But he would be a really appealing plug and play option if Mixon is out. I think if you're having some struggles at running back, I think you go ahead and do this. Otherwise, forget it. Kicker question. We love a kicker question. I mentioned kickers at the bottom of my waiver wire piece. You can check it out at NBCSportsEdge.com. Folks, we're starting Joey Sly. This is what we're doing. Okay. Joey Sly, he's the kicker for the Washington Commanders. And man, let me tell you something about the Commanders. Riverboat Ron is no longer on the riverboat. He is kicking field goals and he is loving life. The whole goal of that Washington offense is to get down in that red zone and flame out and kick a field goal and win with the fewest points as possible. That's the Commanders' plan going forward. We want to win, but we don't want to score a lot of points. And so Joey Sly should continue to get a lot of opportunity. That's what we want. Should I give up on Nick Folk? You should absolutely stop starting Nick Folk. Please. Thank you. I have Fournette and White. Should I sit them and play this out? No, I don't think you can just sit them. I think Fournette is probably still the better fantasy option if he's a full go. I know he suffered, I think it was a hip injury in week 9 when they were playing in London. But he seems to be the preferred goal line option for Tampa. So he has more touchdown upside. So I guess I would start him over White. I take no pleasure in saying so. Kicker question. Thank you, Ken. Would I start Younghoe Koo or Jason Myers this week? So the kicker process goes like this, folks. We want kickers attached to offenses that are favored and have high implied totals. Jason Myers fits the process perfectly for week 12 against the Raiders. You're starting Myers over pretty much anyone. Rick says, wow, the time's flying by, folks. We have about 12, 13 minutes left. Get your questions in. I'm going to try to get to all of them. Would I drop Brandon Cooks for Demarcus Robinson or Curtis Samuel? That's tough. I actually kind of forgot Brandon Cooks exists. Apparently Davis Mills might get benched, which I guess I don't know, might be good. No, I think you're still starting Cooks. I mean, his targets 6'5", 6'7", 6". That sounds like my locker combination in 11th grade. But yeah, I mean, I don't think that I don't think that you can get his role from either of those other two. Definitely not Curtis Samuel. I was kind of leaning toward Robinson, but I think Cooks is the play. David, drop Folk for one of the Chargers kickers, unless one of the 20-point guys. Oh, there you go. Yes, there you go. I think Kyler comes back in week 12. Well, I don't. Aren't the Cardinals on bye? Cardinals schedule. Yeah. Oh no, they're playing the Chargers. Whoops, sorry. I don't think that he'll be back. That's the reports haven't suggested that he has a real great chance of coming back. JD, kicker question. We love the kicker questions. Keep them coming. Myers or Carlson. My league does not score point after the attempt. What? Come on. Why not? It's Myers. You're playing Myers. Trade Zeke for Mike Evans. Yeah, man. Yeah. Do that for sure. Trade for Mike Evans. Do that. Is Deontay Johnson droppable? Yeah, I mean, he's taken a backseat, I think, to both Pat Freiermuth, who saw 12 targets, led the team in week 11 against the Bengals, and to George, that dog and him Pickens. I do think the team is kind of done force feeding Deontay Johnson those underneath targets with which he does nothing. Okay, my interns are telling you. Interns, what does Deontay Johnson do with his targets? They confirmed. It's nothing. Mostert, Monty, Rashad White, flex. So this is in your flex. Yeah, I mean, I'm always coming back to Mostert. There you go. Super flex. I've been going in that direction because quarterback hoarding. Oh, this is regarding the earlier criticism. Quarterback hoarding is fine if that's what you want to do with your team. It's a terrible strategy, a terrible approach. Okay, it completely undermines your roster depth and everything. Okay, but you got to allow people to do it. You can't stop. I'm going to read the whole thing here. Superflex has been going in that direction because quarterback hoarding, especially late in the season when an opponent loses a quarterback to injury, people would just empty their bench to fill with quarterbacks to block. And yes, that's part of the game, folks. It's part of the game. It's a game within a game. It's fine to block your opponent. It's actually very smart and savvy to do so. Some might call it Bush League. I call it savvy and smart. You're looking at who your opponent needs. Oh, man. Hey, I play in a super flex. This is the only starting quarterback available. I'm going to drop my RB6 to just stash this quarterback so my opponent can't get him. That's good. It's a game. Play the game. All right. Am I overthinking this? Paris Campbell over Dalvin Cook or AJ? What the no? Yeah, David. I can confirm my sources. Yes, my sources are confirming that you're overthinking by a lot. I mentioned James Cook. Eddie asked about James Cook rest of the season. I mentioned James Cook in my waiver piece. I think I mentioned 12 running back insurance options that would be good to stash right now in case injuries strike in their backfield. I tried to zero in on running backs who would probably just step in as a workhorse. I don't think James Cook would step in as a 20 touch per game workhorse if Devin Singletary were to get injured. I do think that there is something to him seeing a season high 11 carries in week 11 against the Browns. So you could do way worse than to put him at the end of your bench and see what happens there. James Cook has been pretty good with his opportunities. I mean, he's very fast. That you can't take that away from him. You got to hand it to James Cook. He's a fast guy. He tends to run straight into tacklers, but he's fast. Pick up Hollins or Burks. I would go with Burks there. Drop Hayden Hurst for no. I mean, unless did I miss something on Cameron Brate? If Cameron Brate is starting or is in the lineup for Tampa, you can't start Cade Otton. Yeah, no, there's nothing. Yeah, so Cade Otton is no longer a fantasy option. I would rather start Noah Fant over these guys, personally. I traded Eli Mitchell and Tony for Godwin and Kmet. There you go. You bandit. You bandit, you. You should be thrown straight into jail for that kind of larceny. It's wrong. It's wrong, and I won't tolerate it. JD, thoughts on your recommendations on Bryce Perkins or Joey Sly? They feel like galaxy brain material to me. Right? Bryce Perkins. Oh, you're talking about the Rams quarterback. Sorry, I thought you were talking about kicker because Joey Sly and Bryce Perkins. Oh, you're saying, I see what you're saying. Okay. All right. I got it. I talked about Joey Sly. Yeah, man, that's not galaxy brain. You're doing it. I'm so happy that you brought up Bryce Perkins. I mentioned him as the second best quarterback pickup of the week, especially if you're in like a deep league or obviously Superflex. Superflex, Bryce Perkins needs to be rostered. Okay. Like you need to get him on your roster. And here's why. Matthew Stafford suffered another head injury. Sean McVay indicated that the team would be very careful with him. Really, I mean, there's no reason to think that the Rams are going to force Matthew Stafford into action in what is, has amounted to a lost season for the Rams. And you have to factor that in. I'm sure Stafford wants to play. I'm sure Cooper Kupp wants to play. But at some point, the Rams are going to have to step in, I would think, and say, enough is enough. We're going to ride this out. We're going to try again next year or in 7 years or 8 years when we finally have a first-round draft pick in the NFL draft. Good luck to Rams fans, by the way, over the next decade. Bryce Perkins came in. He rushed 3 or 4 times in Matthew Stafford's place. He completed. Oh man, I'm looking for his stats. I mentioned it all. Oh, I know. I got it, folks. Nope, not there. Listen, Bryce Perkins. Let me tell you about Bryce Perkins. He is, first of all, a preseason DFS hero. Let's see. In this past preseason, he completed 71% of his passes at 8.1 yards per attempt. That's pretty solid. He threw two touchdowns, no interceptions on 65 dropbacks in the preseason. You look at his college profile. He was in 2019 at the University of Virginia. Perkins was 5th in quarterback rushing attempts in the whole nation. He was 6th in quarterback rushing yards in the nation. He scored 11 touchdowns on the ground. I think that he's a potential Konami code. He's a potential cheat code in fantasy. So obviously John Walford is not it. Okay. Is not where it's at, as the teens say. That's not where it's at, Denny. All right. Sorry. So I think Walford is done. I mean, really, honestly, John Walford should not ever get a snap in the NFL. Sorry if you're listening, John. So Bryce Perkins becomes very interesting, even if he struggles through the air. Man, I'm itching to start Bryce Perkins in the super flex. So pay attention to him. All right, we're gonna fly through some. We have about 5 minutes left. I mean, you're still starting Kamara. My dad's gonna be so disappointed. Which defense rest of the season, Washington or Seattle? I don't have their schedules in front of me. I would say Washington, pretty good defense overall. I don't know what that means. Someone in my league dropped Goddard. Yes. Pick him up. He was really valuable, really like the tight end 3 in fantasy. So yeah, definitely. Vinny says, help at flex, Jamal Williams, Allen Robinson. Jamal, you're starting Jamal. Good luck on Thanksgiving. Struggle to speak authoritatively. Why are you answering my questions? Curious. It is curious, folks. It is. All right. Enough of that. No more fun. Stop having fun. I'm here to answer questions. I don't want any more fun here. Tucker is undisputed king of kickers, right? Yes. Fournette and White, should I sit? Oh no, I already answered that. All right, I got to get down and dirty here, folks. Drop DJ Moore and Paris Campbell. No, out of those, I would want Josh Palmer and Paris Campbell. Latavius Murray is on the wire. Oh, okay. So you asked drop, folks. Try to have your questions and comments all in one, all in one submission. If that would be great for me. Drop DJ Moore and Paris Campbell. Oh, jeez. Okay. Oh, I'm a mess. Who is the best wide receiver for flex going forward? Pickens, Burks, Peoples-Jones. I don't know about Peoples-Jones. Well, Palmer's interesting if Mike Williams is going to be out for a long time. I would lean Pickens, though. Ayuk or Jamal Williams. I'm going Ayuk. King of waiver wire running backs. That's me, folks. That's me. He's talking about me. Foreman versus I'd rather have Latavius. Deontay Foreman, as we saw this past week against the Ravens, is going to be very game script dependent. Although the Panthers hung in there with the Ravens, so maybe I'm wrong on that. But I do think that Murray is a better option. Fant, Taysom Hill, or Logan Thomas. I would go Fant. I just don't think that you can count on Taysom seeing a decent decent usage week in and week out. Tua and Andrews for Chubb. Kind of depends. No, actually, it doesn't depend. No, I would not do that. Pierce versus Jamal, rest of season. Pierce, look, Jamal. I mean, it's a lot of touchdowns. I get it, a lot of touchdowns, but those dry up eventually. I know I was trying to be funny with the story about my dad, blah 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 blah. But Dameon Pierce is a better option. Why is Joshua? Well, I mean, if Mike Williams is in, then Palmer's not as highly regarded, if that makes sense. DeAndre Swift is like barely a running back 3 in PPR going forward. Should I drop him? Oh, yeah, right. I already answered something like that, unless people just have the same questions. Fields for Godwin. Yeah, I suppose. Folks, I have about a minute left. Rest of season at tight end Everett. You didn't give me any more, guys. Come on. I would say yes to this question. Is Latavius worth using my number one waiver priority on? If you're looking for a plug and play running back 2 for the next 3, 4, 5 weeks, then you go ahead and get Murray. If you like my whole spiel on Latavius Murray, you can do one of two things. Go to the beginning of this video, of this stream, and listen to me rant and rave about the Denver backfield post Melvin Gordon. Or you can read my waiver wire column on NBCSportsEdge.com, powered by Rotoworld. I'm going to head out, folks. Thanks for joining me for this week 12 waiver wire Q&A. Join me for week 13, and good luck on Thanksgiving, for the Thanksgiving games. Listen, I know the pain of having to tilt your face off while watching the games and trying to pay attention to family, and you're seeing your guy injured, or you're seeing your guy, score a bunch of touchdowns. You're not trying not to overreact. Try to stabilize. Try to keep it even keel, and remember that the sun will one day envelop the earth. Bye.